Good afternoon, parents. I hope you're all safe and well, and thank you for joining us once again for this webinar in a series of webinars, informational ones for parents, to help you further understand more about GEMS Founder School in terms of curriculum assessment, teaching and learning, and various other aspects of school life. Just a reminder that these sessions are recorded and uploaded to our YouTube channels. So please, if you are unable to watch this or are watching it today and want to go back to it and refer to any points, they will be uploaded to our social media channels. The live question and answer chat forum is now open. So as always, again, we encourage you to, one, post some really nice positive comments and thoughts about the topic for today, which is about future curriculum plans. We want to see as many positive comments coming through as possible, but also lots of questions, please, so that we can, as always, address them either privately in the chat, or if we feel that they're a more public question, we can address it at the end of this session. Today we are joined by Miss Catherine King, one of our assistant principals at GEMS Founder School, and towards the end of this presentation, Miss Catherine will join us live to talk about some of the work she's been doing and some of the plans that we've got for the school next year and moving forward. Next slide, please. So in terms of introducing some of the leadership with regards to the topic today, I wanted to introduce you to Miss Angela Walters-Harris, who was appointed at the start of this academic year as our Head of Vocational Learning. Miss Angela unfortunately can't be with us today, but her email address is on the screen, and she will be able to answer many questions following this session if you've got anything very, very specific about vocational learning. And like I said, Miss Catherine King, who is one of our assistant principals, will be joining us, and also her email address should you want to contact her directly. Next slide, please. We always start with this. Our regular attendees for these sessions and people who view these sessions will always know that we start with the vision and the pillars. And again, these are just general reminders as to our vision as a school: the grow, flourish, succeed. We're doing a lot of work at the minute internally in revisiting these three words with our staff, with our students, and what it means to us as a school community, and obviously with you as parents. It's so important these words are not just three words that we made up. These were right from the very day one when founders started, when this big journey started as a school way back in 2016, and there was a lot of consultation and a lot of thought that went behind these three words that mean so much to us as a school community. And when you think about them in the context of today's webinar, yes, we have grown massively as a school, and we will continue to flourish as a school as well, and give students the opportunities to succeed. But today we're going to be talking about how we're growing our curriculum, listening to the stakeholder feedback, whether it's parents or students or our inspectorates as well, and giving all of our students as many different possible pathways to meet their individual needs. So today is about growing our curriculum further and expanding it further, and introducing new opportunities for our students across the school in certain year groups for next year, giving them opportunities to flourish and then ultimately succeed in the subjects that they choose. Next slide, please. Again, thinking about the three pillars, we talked a lot over the past few weeks about the importance of mindfulness and staying in the present. Obviously, this session is looking forward to the future, but again, we can only control what's happening in the current, in the current day. So a lot of information about what will happen next year, but at the same time, I want you to make sure that you, alongside your students, really control their thoughts about today, and about think of what is right for them now. The future will always change and evolve, but it's really, really important to consider after today's session some of the choices that your children will be exposed to and that they'll have to make, and big decisions in their lives. And of course, we have to talk about our future, but essentially it's about, we can't control what happens later, we can control what happens now. So let's take that into consideration as we move through today's session. Again, I would like to touch a lot about the languages in today's session as well, and certainly future plans, perhaps not in the next academic year, but in the next 5 years, as to where we are going as a school with regards to languages. It's very important to us, and again, that key pillar, that key that value, and sincerely linked to high performance learning, about having that real determination to succeed in whatever courses and subjects our students decide to take. Next slide. So this is just a recap of the session that we held at the start of this series of webinars to help parents understand and remind just where we're at right now, and then we'll look at the future and what that is going to entail at Founders. So just a reminder that we do deliver the national curriculum for England across year 7, 8 and 9. And then students move off into currently IGCSEs and GCSEs in Key Stage 4 in years 10 and 11, and then progress into their final years of school to Key Stage 5 and to A levels. And with all of that in mind, we need to consider the opportunities that we're providing our students within that pathway, within GCSEs, within A levels, and even within Key Stage 3, those very important years as students start preparing for Key Stage 4, and also starting to think about perhaps if these courses meet the needs of all of our students. So we've done a lot of reflection over the past 3 or 4 years and started to think about what is right for our school community as we grow together. And we've done quite a lot of student surveys in school, and we hold a lot of meet the head sessions where I get feedback as the head of secondary that I then disseminate to our team about what students are interested in, what is going well, and what they want to improve and develop further. So we have a wealth of information alongside our GCSE results and our A-level results to help us put together a set of curriculum offerings that we believe is broad and balanced, but also provides the opportunities and the experiences for our students to succeed in their lives. So with all that in mind, obviously these are the compulsory subjects that you can see on the screen as well, in terms of Arabic and Islamic and moral education, UAE social studies. These are very important subjects that are a fundamental part of our school curriculum. But today we're looking at what else can we add? How can we add value to go above and beyond what is compulsory, but also what can complement the options in terms of our pathways in secondary education as well. Next slide, please. So I talked at the start of the year about some new initiatives that we've put into place. Unfortunately, due to the pandemic and the continuing challenges surrounding the pandemic, I've not been able to implement these as full as we wanted to this year in terms of food technology and design technology. But in terms of drama, Spanish and character education, these subjects are starting to be embedded within our curriculum. And I touched a little bit about languages at the start of this webinar. And it's something that, again, we listened to the students, listened to what languages they would want to introduce to our curriculum when we had a lot of discussion about this. And we decided to introduce Spanish. In the future years, one of the potential goals for the school is to really expand our languages program even further. So going beyond Arabic and French and English, of course, and Spanish, but potentially opening up new language routes and new language courses. We currently do allow students to sit mother tongue languages at GCSE and A level if we feel they are ready to sit for those examinations. And that's really important to understand, that whilst we do not teach explicitly the language in school, there are many students, because their mother tongue language is a strength of theirs, that we feel can be entered to relevant qualification examinations. So over the past, we've had students entered for German, for Russian, for Spanish, for Italian, and have done very well as an example. But it's our responsibility now to try to develop our internal program a lot further. Obviously, with 107 nationalities in the school comes a lot of diversity in terms of language, and that is the next stage of our development with regards to that. Just to touch on the character education program, so every Thursday students will have an assembly about character education, and then on the Fridays it's followed up by a discussion and activities that are all linked to comments and suggestions and ideas and thoughts and reflections from a Padlet, in which students can post their thoughts and views, etc. So character education is really important, and with that being a new initiative, we can start to see the benefits of that for our students, and certainly the links it has to high performance learning. As you all know, it is such an important part of our school improvement journey. Just with regards to food and design technology, again, like I said at the start of this slide, it's been unfortunate that we've not been able to fully implement food and design technology as much as we wanted to this year, but certainly these subjects are now in place in our curriculum. We have amazing facilities here in phase 3 to operate food and design tech, and there's certainly going to be a very strong and fundamental part of years to come for our students. Next slide, please. So behind the scenes, Miss Catherine, myself, Miss Angela, a team of people really have been working on developing what we call vocational pathways. And for Jen's Founder School next year, it means BTechs. So again, if you look at sort of the general broad definition of what a BTech is, they will offer an alternative pathway for our students in years 10, 11, 12 and 13 at level 2 and level 3, and really our qualifications are career focused and grounded and have that heart right in the middle of the real world of work. And it's not just about coming to school and doing different subjects, it's about actually developing the skills, the knowledge, the behaviours that certain employers and of course universities look for. You may ask what are the differences between BTECs and IGCSEs, and I'll come on to that in a second. But I wanted to introduce the fact that we as a school are going to be offering in our option blocks in the next few weeks when they come out for our year 9 students and our year 11 students, we are going to be offering the 4 subjects: business, engineering, hospitality and IT at BTech level. Now this is really exciting for us. It's the first time we've done this as a school. And just so that parents and you understand the work that goes on behind the scenes to actually get to the stage where we're at is quite tremendous. It's not just about implementing these subjects, it is about becoming a BTech approved centre, which takes a long time. It's making sure that we have the teachers, the qualifications, the training, the facilities, the resources to be a successful BTech centre. So all of this work has been taking place and will continue to take place towards the end of this academic year. So we're very excited about listening to what students wanted. We obviously living in Dubai, there is a very, very high demand for engineering and engineers, but also the hospitality sector is hugely important, not only to this part of the world, but worldwide. And many of our talents have expressed significant interest in this. Obviously, we currently offer business as a IGCSE and as a A-level, and we also offer computing as a GCSE and A-level, but the IT and business BTech courses will offer a different pathway where students will gain a different set of skills or an enhanced set of skills that are, like I said, very much linked to employment and a vocation in those areas. Next slide, please. So what is BTech? Like I said, it's the equivalent to the IGCSE qualification, and it will complement the IGCSE range of options that we offer as well. So it will be in the middle of all of the blocks that we offer next year, and students will get to choose a unique pathway, BTech and GCSEs, to make sure that they're developing a real broad and balanced set of skills and knowledge and understanding to help them in the future. So just a few little stats there, and this is from the Pearson website and the research that Pearson have conducted as an examination board. But 74% of businesses say they prefer their employees to have a mix of academic and technical qualifications or vocational qualifications. So it's a really high percentage of what employers are looking for when they conduct interviews, and universities also in terms of application around the world. And 76% of the students who had opted for the BTECs had reflected, and this is a global survey, reflected on the skills, the practical hands-on experiences they obtained while studying a BTEC qualification. Obviously, I want to reiterate, during a pandemic, it has been challenging, I'm sure, for BTEC centres around the world to go full steam ahead, so to speak, with these qualifications. But we are hoping, obviously, in September 2022, that we're going to have the permissions to run these courses without too many restrictions. And then 99% of the universities, so almost all universities around in the UK, will accept BTEC qualifications. So for parents who are concerned about the equivalence to GCSE, you don't have any worries there. It's an equivalent level qualification for them, or for A level for that matter. Next slide, please. I won't talk too much about this slide, but I do encourage parents and students to sit with your children and go to this website, to the Pearson website. And this particular slide is the start, and the link that you can see at the top is the start to the BTech quiz, which actually, it took about three to 5 minutes, it actually takes, but it will help students uncover their strengths and information based upon their responses to the questions, and it might help guide them alongside all of the work our Year 9 team and Year 11 team are doing currently in helping students think about what options are best for them in the future. So whilst we can provide a lot of information, a lot of advice, a lot of support, there are a lot of different tools as well with our examination board Pearson. When you log into their website, that can also help support the choices your children make and provide even more information, further information, when you're having conversations outside of school. So I do encourage everybody to log into this website, please, at some point. So here are some frequently asked questions. I'll go through them on screen, but obviously if you want any further clarification or any more detail with regards to the answers, please do put that in the chat, or obviously get in touch with one of us following the webinar. So in terms of the students who do choose to do a BTech, will it have an impact on the GCSEs? No, it won't. It will actually support the IGC studies and actually enhance the student's profile in many ways in terms of developing those key skills. GCSE grades, we've talked about this in the past, 9 to 1 with the exam boards that we currently work with. BTech courses are actually graded pass, merit, distinction, or distinction star, being the highest grade, which is the equivalent to an 8 plus IGC level. In terms of our sixth form, and I can't compare this with other sixth forms around Dubai or the world, but certainly for our sixth form, so for our entry into Year 12 at our school, we will still be looking for that grade 7 at GCSE or a merit or above in their BTech as a minimum expectation. Obviously, the stronger the grade at BTech, the stronger the correlation is between getting good grades at the higher level of school as well. So IGCs and BTechs run parallel in terms of length. Both courses students would start in Year 10 and finish in Year 11, or if it's a level 3 qualification, start in Year 12 and finish at the end of Year 13. Next slide, please. In terms of the topics, there's certainly an overlap, and there's certain, most of the content will be very, very similar. The key thing is the skills that students develop through the assessment methodology, with there being no external examinations for BTech. So students will develop those skills. There'll be very much hands-on projects and assessments over the 2 years, which may suit many of our students. And this is something that we're going to be talking a lot about and then our subject leaders will be talking a lot about today and tomorrow for our Year 9 students and parents in the webinars, which I'll touch on in a minute. In terms of the assessment, like I said, what I encourage all parents and students to do after this session is go to the Pearson website and look at those 4 qualifications that we're going to be offering, and look in absolute depth at the specifications, the resources, the guidelines, and that will give you a full breakdown of all of the information you need, and that will be complemented and supplemented by the advice that our subject leaders will be giving you in the next few weeks as well. And of course, at any stage, your child can either come and talk to us, send us a message, book an appointment with our career counsellor, like I've discussed before in these webinars. In terms of the books, yes, there will be course books that are endorsed like any examination board, but certainly that's for IGC, but it's also the BTech will have supporting text as well. Next slide, please. And this slide is something that Miss Hannah Monk has sent out to all Year 9 parents, and this is with regards to the timeline and the variety of sessions and supporting opportunities that we're putting in place for students and parents. And like I said, this is just one small snapshot of what we're doing to help all parents, not just Year 9 or 11 parents, but all parents across the school who are tuning in today, to understand that we have listened to student voice, we have listened to parent voice, and we are starting to put in an alternative pathway curriculum that will only continue to grow over the next few years. I'm absolutely sure of that. So if we can just go to the next slide, please. Just a reminder for Year 9 parents, specifically, that we are conducting live subject question and answer webinars today and tomorrow. Ms. Hannah Monk has sent this PDF, this schedule out to you, so please do tune in to these. There's the links there in the boxes that you will get from the PDF document that was sent to you as parents. And for any parents who are not Year 9 parents in today's session, we will be putting on subsequent webinars for you with regards to the specifics for each subject, which again will continue to expand, not just next year, but in future years to come. So please stay tuned for that information, which will be sent out in due course. Next slide, please. So just some useful websites before I hand over to Miss Catherine. The exam board websites are really important because I know parents will be thinking and students will be thinking about what is right for them. Are the BTECs correct for them? Are the GCSEs correct for them? And are both correct for them? So there's lots of different things to consider, but my honest advice to all parents listening today, like I said before, is go to the exam board websites. Go to our school website, where there's lots of information about this, a lot of detailed information. There's a lot of good information where you can sit down at length with your child and go through specifications, go through how courses are assessed, what is the content, what careers it may lead to, so on and so forth, and then bring the questions as well back to the school so that our staff can support accordingly. So I'm going to have a quick read through some of the questions in the live event question and answer session, but at this time I'm going to hand over to Miss Catherine King, who has been working incredibly hard behind the scenes, not just with vocational learning, but lots of different things curriculum related, and I'm sure she's going to give you some great advice now. Miss Catherine.
Good afternoon, everybody. I hope everybody's having a good day today. So just to build on what Mr. Ian was discussing around BTech and vocational pathways, it is the first time we've brought these into GFS next year. So we are working with Miss Angela, our head of vocational studies, and she is setting up the program for us. She has 17 years experience setting up BTech and vocational programs in different countries, including Spain and the UK. So we're really grateful to have her. From doing some surveys with parents and students alike, we decided to do 4 different options for our BTech pathways next year. and those will be offered at level 2 and level 3. So level 2 is GCSE, so year 10 and 11, and level 3 is A-level, year 12 and 13. So they can do these in conjunction with other GCSEs and other A-levels. A couple of things to note before we go forward. At level 2, a BTech will be equal to 1 GCSE, and at level 3, it will be equal to 1 A-level. That means that if students are going for equivalency in the UAE where they need 2 A-levels, if they would like to do a BTech, they will need to do at least 2 A-levels plus a BTech in order to get their equivalency. Now that is only relevant if you're planning on your students staying in the UAE and going to university here and living and working here, but it is an important thing to note before you consider any BTech and vocational pathways. So the 4 courses we've chosen are hospitality, business, computing and engineering, and I'll just give you a really brief overview of the 4 courses and what they'll entail. And this is both for level 2 and 3. The courses connect, so they can start in year 10 and take it all the way up to the end of year 13, or they can jump straight in at level 3 in year 12 as well. It doesn't really matter which way you come in. So hospitality is kind of leading students into career pathways such as restaurant managers, events coordinators, executive chef, hotel managers, which is a huge job in Dubai. And the kind of things that they might be doing is front of house operations, resource management, event management, costing, budgeting, food safety and meal planning, anything along those lines really. Level 2 is more general. We give them a brief overview of the hospitality industry and we give them a chance to do their own project-based learning in different areas. And then level 3, they start to specialise more in terms of their interest in hospitality, so they can have a bit more freedom and flexibility. And one of the differences with the BTech programs as opposed to the GCSE is, yes, there is a set curriculum, but when it comes to the assignments are very much coursework based rather than examination based. They can do them over a longer period of time and they have more independence and creativity with those. So they suit students who may not always perform as well in exams, but work really hard and do really well in coursework. So that's kind of an overview of hospitality. Now the business BTech as opposed to the GCSE BTech is a little bit different. It's a little bit more hands-on in terms of what they might be preparing themselves for. So careers that students doing the BTech in business might be looking for is project manager, human resources, sales or marketing specialists. And the good thing about the business side of this is it also can include some work experience and some time to get out into the industry and spend some time there as well. And that can often count towards their qualification, that work experience, as well as giving students opportunities to make connections with businesses in the UAE. So this is, for example, if they're interested in going into marketing, or they're interested in the public sector business, or they're interested in business finance. The level 2 is a really good introduction, similar to the level 2 in hospitality, and then the level 3 allows them to specialise a little bit more in things that they're interested in. Now, the other ones that we are planning on doing are computing. Now, there is quite a significant difference between the computing BTech and the computer science GCSE and A-level. So if you're doing the computing BTech, you might be looking at hardware in terms of how to build a PC, how to understand the different components and what that takes. You might be looking at computer programming, data analyst, database administrator, even game design. These are things that the computer science might not necessarily lean towards. Computer science tends to be more mathematical. It tends to be more challenging in some areas and less in others. So if you have a student that's very hands-on with tech and computing and would prefer to be working with hardware or working with programming, the BTech in computing might be better. But if you're looking at someone that is designing whole systems, it could be that computer science is a better one for your child. So really you need to have a conversation with that careers counsellor and decide which one is better for you. But similar again, level 2 is more of an introduction and level 3 allows you to specialise. And then finally, the last one is engineering. Now, engineering can go in a few different ways. There's obviously a lot of types of engineers. So at level 2, we teach them the basics. Children interested in doing engineering should also complement that with their A-level choices specifically. Now at GCSE, students will be doing maths and some science. But at A level, if you're doing engineering, it's also really beneficial to do maths and A science, such as physics as well, which will really help them to understand some of the content of the course. But engineering can go from being an aircraft maintenance engineer to a mechanical engineer to a mathematical engineer, an electrical engineer. There's so many different pathways that it can go into, and the BTechs really give them some hands-on experience, as well as, similar to the other ones, some opportunities to get some work experience in there to see what field of engineering they're interested in, because it is such a huge field. Students often don't know what kind of engineer they'd like to be, but the BTech allows them quite a lot of creativity to explore different projects and do different things which follow their interests, rather than it being a really rigid curriculum. So that's kind of a really whistle-stop tour of the different BTechs that we're offering next year. They are, as I know a few of the chat questions are asking about, if they are valued the same in the UK as the rest of the world. Yes, in many countries they are, but it is important that you have a discussion with the careers counsellor so that they can advise you on what's the best for your son or daughter, because when it comes to pathways into universities, some countries are very much absolutely, and some countries will only accept A-levels and GCSEs. So it is really important that you have those conversations before you sign up, rather than signing up and then having any issues later on. All right, I think that's it for me, Mr. Ian. I'll pass back to you.
Thank you, Ms. Catherine, and thank you for the clear explanations of the differences and the additions that all of these courses bring. So just looking at some of the questions in the chat, some really good questions as always. I'll try to answer them in detail as possible. If you want a further answer, please do reach out so I can certainly drop you an email or have a telephone call or a Zoom or a Teams meeting with you individually, should you need to. One of the questions is about the criteria to select options for year 10. It says year 10 and 11, the question, but actually students will choose their options for year 10 and continue with them through year 11. So they don't pick options in year 10 and then change them in year 11. It's a 2-year course, like we said. There will be 5 option blocks. And students will be required to choose one subject from each of the 5 option blocks. So that hopefully answers that question. It does link nicely to a question about science. Yes, students are required to take one of the science subjects. So whether that's biology, physics or chemistry, they must take a minimum of 1 science in year 10 and 11. They can take 2 of the sciences, or they could take all 3 if they want, but they must choose a minimum of 1. However, when they get to A level, they don't have to continue sciences. It's not mandatory to do a science A level, but again, the option is there to do 1, 2 or 3 of the sciences. So hopefully that helps answer that question. There was a question about Arabic, a really good question about mandatory versus optional Arabic. So Arabic language is compulsory for students who are registered in the system with an Arab country's passport. That's a compulsory subject all the way through, whereas students who are non-Arab and registered with a non-Arab passport are only required to study Arabic up until the end of year 10. So again, I hope that helps answer that question. We're currently looking at food technology in terms of the blocks and the introduction of that as a GCSE subject. So that hopefully answers that question for the parent that asked that. I think that's all of the questions that are not being published, and the ones that have obviously, I believe, have been answered accordingly. So once again, parents, thank you so much for everybody who has joined us today. We can have lots more discussions about this in future webinars and future sessions that we will hold in school with our students and with you as parents. One of the biggest bits of feedback that I get when I go and visit year 9, particularly year 9 classrooms, it's not just about year 9, but particularly year 9 classrooms from the students, is about that advice on what subjects can lead to which careers. So we'll be looking at providing students with as much advice about that as possible. But a lot of it as well, like I said, and I keep saying, we really want our students to take responsibility of doing as much research and as much reading and as much inquiring as possible, both in and outside of school, and have conversations with you as their parents and with other parents about what your journeys are, what your journeys were in terms of leaving school and going to university or going straight into the world of work, and how we all ended up doing what we're doing now. So the more advice students can get, the better it will be, of course. So thank you once again. We, as always, hope it was helpful. It would be lovely, of course, if people can feedback on this session, and if people, parents can post something that they learned perhaps from this session, or any other information that parents would like in subsequent sessions as well. There are a couple more questions that have come through, so I'll just quickly address those for those parents. Food technology will not next year be introduced in year 7. It will not be introduced in year 7, or design technology. The answer is no to that question. There's lots of information on the website, on the school website, which obviously links to other websites as well. And like I said, probably the best source of information, there's 2 best sources of information for this. One, Miss Catherine has already mentioned, Miss Lakshmi, our career counsellor. Booking an appointment with Miss Lakshmi if you want to discuss careers. But also, when you start looking through this, the subject specifications, no matter what subject, there is a wealth of information about the different careers, opportunities that can appear for students that take those particular subjects. So that's probably the best 2 sources of information. And thank you very much for the parent who has obviously enjoyed today's session, and I certainly wish you a wonderful day ahead as well too. And we look forward to joining you at next week's session, which will be the last session in this series of webinars as we end the first half term. And I will be sharing the list of new webinars and topics for the second half. But as always, if you have any sessions that you want specifically addressing, please do let me know. Take care, stay safe, and we will see you all again soon. Thank you.